Pete here with Small Business Resource Center and Small Business Resource Center YouTube channel. I am making this video because of a couple people had requested some similar information, and this is the 10 things you need to do to get a job or start a new career or start a business. And the main reason that it's all those topics is because they're actually very similar. Um, so my background, of course, being where I've been in life, one of the things that I've done is always use things as a stepping stone to try to advance your career. And a lot of times I've talked to people about the same thing. That's doing what you can to try to advance your career, especially during these times when people are going through a lot of problems. They might be looking for a new job or might want to start a new career, start a new business. In the past, I worked with a company that's their sole focus was actually to get people jobs that are $100,000 or more yearly. So keep in mind what we did for that is we charge people $10,000 minimum, of course, or 10% of the yearly income for the job that they got. So up front, they would pay $10,000, and then after that, they would have to pay an additional amount based if their job paid more than 10% of the yearly income. Some people could get a job less than 10%, don't get me wrong, or less than 100,000, but that's what it's geared toward in general. So here's the information. First thing you have to do is create an identity online. Nowadays, it's easier than ever to do that because in the past, that wasn't always simple. So right now, if you have like a Facebook profile, YouTube profile, you want to change those identities that are going to be geared towards the industry that you're looking to be in, or the persona for the avatar persona of what you're looking for. So if you have an IT job, you might want to change your profile so it looks IT. If you want to be a real estate agent, you may want to change to something that makes you look like a real estate agent. Of course, this Sunday, probably you don't want to be wearing a t-shirt, and that's probably not the avatar you want. The other thing that I would recommend is almost like an interview video for an online identity. So I had one friend who wanted to start a business and said he was having a challenging time doing that. So I said, hey, why don't I interview you with the business that you're trying to do? And then basically, when you talk to people, you can always say, hey, I have this little video and it kind of explains what I do. So keep in mind, you're new to the industry, they can hire anyone. And if they can, everyone looks at social media nowadays, and if they can quickly and easily find information that makes you look more like what they're looking for, that can give you a heads up. And an instance of kind of like an interview video where you're explaining what you do, for some people, that could make the difference of them choosing you versus them choosing someone else. Next thing would be create a new professional resume. And this is something that I've told people at every job level, because keep in mind, the company that I was working for, we're geared to $100,000 income earners and up. But I've told people in every industry, even an electrician once told me they needed a job and couldn't get one. And I said, well, let me see your resume. And they said, well, I don't have one. And they're like, well, electricians usually don't have resumes. I just go and fill out an application. Well, keep in mind, you need to make yourself look better than your competition. So I told the person to, use Word, make a resume, make sure it looks professional. And even though you're going to be going to a job, you have the resume and then fill out an application if they need it. So it makes you look better to have a professional resume. And of course, for high income jobs, that's important. Even as a real estate agent, I actually used to have a resume and marketing book. And the main reason why I was taught to do that is because of the simple fact that shows people my expertise and differentiates me from my competition. Number two, dress the part. when it comes down to all the sales training that I've learned, as well as the career training, you should always be equal or better to whatever part you're looking to be. Yeah, there's some times when you can be considered overdressed. Like once as a real estate agent, I was actually going to sell a farm. And of course, I came in a suit and expensive dress shoes, and the person looked at me and said, "Why are you dressed like that?" And I said, "Well, this is expensive property. Typically, when I preview expensive properties, I feel I should be dressed for the part." And they said, "Well, yeah, well, this part's a farm. Did you ever go on a farm before?" Of course, me being from our family owned a farm and I worked on a farm when I was young, I said, "Yeah, of course." And they said, "Well, how do you normally dress when you're on a farm?" And I said, "Well, normally I'd be wearing jeans, long jeans, boots, because I would be expecting to get dirty, and a shirt that could potentially be dirty." And I said, "Really? I wanted to wear jeans, a dress shirt, and boots, but everybody, keep in mind I was new in real estate, told me you'd never hire me if I wasn't wearing a suit." And he, of course, said, "Well, do you have anything you can change into, because your shoes look expensive and they're going to get dirty?" I said, "Yeah, of course, I have my sneakers in my car." So I put my sneakers on and walked around. But keep in mind, when you're at a job interview, typically you want to dress the part. Hey, if you're looking at a farm, they're not going to be upset that you're wearing boots and jeans, because the simple fact that they understand that that is what you should be wearing. If you're at a job interview, it could be for any position, but wearing, might be a labor job, but wearing slacks and a dress shirt still shows that you have a little bit of class. In an instance of sales management type jobs, you always want to probably wear a suit or a dress shirt and slacks. If you're trying to be a sales manager and you show up in cargo pants, t-shirt, they're going to say, "Well, should I really be hiring this person?" If for some reason you don't have a choice but to show up in cargo pants and a t-shirt, you may want to explain to them why you're dressed like this and that it's not your typical attire. Of course, make sure your hair's cut, makeup done, or whatever, whatever you normally do, because of course that's going to be your impression on the person that you're interviewing. Next is be prepared to answer questions. And when I say be prepared to answer questions, that would be practically every question. If you're trying to get into a new job, start to understand that new job and that industry. An example I can give you is, of course, when I was younger, trying to get some jobs, I noticed warehousing paid pretty well for the area I was in. So I was in college, I wanted to get into warehousing. And of course, some of the people that I interviewed with asked questions like, "Are you certified for a forklift?" Well, it's not on my resume. Have you driven a tow motor? If you don't know what those things are completely, chance of you getting hired is probably not good. If you're trying to get, if you're selling houses and people ask you questions about a house and you can't answer them, probably they're going to want to pick somebody else. But when it comes down to it, you have to be prepared to answer questions about your industry, especially if it's something new, because of the simple fact, like what I just mentioned, if you never did drive a forklift, you don't have to lie. You always want to be honest. That's actually the next one. But you can simply state, "No, I never did drive a forklift, but I do have some experience with a backhoe, and I feel I'd be able to learn how a forklift works because they're both, mechanical machines," or whatever. So you don't have to lie, but you have to be prepared to answer questions, and you always want to be honest, because that's the most important thing. And knowing the industry that you're working in or trying to transition to is important. So you always want to know about the industry, some lingo, and breaking into a new career, starting a job. It's important. If you don't have a lot of experience, do some studying. So knowing the industry is very important. So in the example of like sales management, you could be a sales manager at an auto dealership. And when I always tell people an important thing, I say, when you're in sales, you actually can sell anything. That's true. But if you try to apply, if you're a sales manager at a car dealership, now you're trying to apply for a sales management job at a, let's just say it's a division manager for a mortgage company. Well, if you don't know anything about mortgages, the chances of them hiring you are very, very slim. But if you brush up on terms and you start to understand the industry before you go there, it's a lot easier to be able to say, yeah, I understand all my experiences in the auto sales, but management is management. And basically, you transition into explaining things that you know about mortgages and practices that you use to increase sales, get the team motivated, or what have you. Obviously, you just increased your chance by being a little bit competent about the industry and also explaining what you can bring as far as your ability to help the company, because of course they're looking for someone to be helpful. Number 7 is know your company. So if you're interviewing anywhere for a new company, or like just say you're interviewing for a job, I recommend looking up information about the company, the person you're interviewing, and challenges they had. Because if you're interviewing and the big thing that can separate you is understanding the company you work for. So an example might be you can state, hey, I noticed that you guys were working on X project and it took this amount of time to complete. And I understand some of the challenges you've had. Now that I see you're working on this other project I found online, my past experience can allow me to help you with some of those challenges. So I'm hoping that if you decide to hire me, that I can help offset those challenges or fix these problems with the past experience I've had. That's a much better interview than someone who's going to stand there, and I believe in God too, don't get me wrong, but not know anything about the company and just pray that somehow they get magically selected as the person who's getting hired. Would you not agree? Okay. Then I also say be willing. Be willing means you need to basically make a decision that if things may not always be perfect, but if this is a better decision for you, sometimes you have to use it as a stepping stone. If it's a worse decision for you, maybe it's not going to make sense. And then, of course, make a decision not to do that. Sometimes if you're starting a new business, or if you're starting a new career or trying to get a job, you have to be realize that everything's not going to be perfect all the time. So you have to say, am I willing to accept what kind of offer I can get? Or you may even interview for something, sales management, and they say, well, I don't think you have all the experience to be a sales manager here, but we are looking for an assistant manager also, or we'll hire you in sales, and then if you do well, we'll promote you in 3 months or whatever. So you have to make a decision on if that can be an option for you. The next step is don't be lazy. And this goes for obviously all of them too. Often it seems like I've talked to people, myself included, who've interviewed people for management positions, sales positions, labor positions, and they seem like they could be good candidates. And then you ask an important question. That question is, when can you start? And they say next month. And you're like, well, next month, that's 4 weeks. Oh, I got unemployment for 3 weeks and then I'm taking a vacation. Well, most companies aren't looking for somebody lazy who's going to ride unemployment, who's looking for a break before they start. Just doesn't really happen like that. And most of the times, if somebody seems like they're a good interview, the person conducting the interview is probably going to say, did I just get fooled by this person? Anybody who's self-employed or has a business or who's in management, They want someone who's motivated, that's going to be a self-starter, that's going to want to do work, not somebody who is looking for the next break. If you're lazy and it shows, you're probably not going to get the job. And if you are lazy and you're going to wait, you might as well not even interview until week till you're ready to start or unemployment's ending, because any decent job's not going to hire you if they know you're writing unemployment. Okay, the next one is, and the final one I should say, is don't be timid. And this goes into asking for the sale. I know when I've interviewed for sales jobs and sales management jobs before, I don't want to pick, maybe it's something I haven't learned yet, but keep in mind, I don't know everything in the world when it comes to sales and training, but I've seen some sales managers, they'll talk to you, but they won't tell you that you got the job or not. And I think the reason why they do that is because they want to see if you're going to be a little aggressive. When I say aggressive, I don't, you just want to talk to them. And if the interview's going well, but they're not telling you you got hired, just blatantly say, hey, this seems like it's going very well. What do you think about me starting next week? Ask for the sale. Or when it comes down to it, one of the biggest things in sales is salespeople don't ask for the sale. So they're looking for someone who's going to be a little bit aggressive. And when I use the word aggressive, I actually put in there, don't be timid, because the simple fact that you don't have to be aggressive. Like in the past, being in real estate, I usually just ask people blatantly, what do you think about the house? If they say they like the house, I try to ask them if they want to buy it. What kind of questions do you have? Do you want me to get payments? Should I get an agreement of sale ready? Some people have said, well, that's aggressive. And I would say, well, what do you mean that's aggressive? If you don't like it, you say you don't like it. If you say you like it, I'm going to try to close a sale. That's my job. And when it comes down to being interviewed, starting a business, or trying to get a career, sometimes you have to be a little bit on the aggressive side and not timid. If things seem like they're going well, ask the interviewer when you can start or what would be the next step for you getting hired. Two simple closes that are not really aggressive, but shows that you're a self-starter. Because some of the people are actually looking for that. They're looking for someone who's going to try to move forward rather than someone who's just going to interview and stay there and say, hey, all right, see you later, and not do anything. Because especially if it's a sales job or a more high income job, I think they're looking for someone who's going to be a little bit more aggressive, whether it's a soft close or some type of way to initiate them moving forward rather than just interview and say, okay, that's great. Please call me if something's going to work out, And one of the things that I've always done as far as getting jobs or anything too, is if I tried to close the deal or see if they would hire me and they said, well, we do have 50 other people we're interviewing. If you notice our lobby's full, then you can easily state that, okay, that sounds great. When are you finished your interviews? Do you mind if I follow up with you? And basically write it down and say, okay, great. You're finished the interviews today at 2:00 and you'll hope to make a decision Monday. So great. I'll give you a call Monday. How about around 11? And sometimes you being not timid and being a little bit aggressive and then following up shows this company, hey, this person really wants to work here. Two, they're not scared to ask for the sale and close. And three, they're probably not lazy. If they're doing things to, try to get into the company, they're probably going to be a good employee. And that's what people want. As far as career, starting a company, hiring a company, or, advancing yourself. So this is Pete with the 10 things you need to do to get a good job, start a new career, or start a business. So let me know what you think. Smash a like button if this helped you. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. and share this with a friend. Have a great day.